Okay, I gotta get the right readers here. Gotta get the super readers out, as I like to call them. Anyways, we're back. Back with the building that we were working on last night. And little tank here for scale. But we need to do the basing, so we're gonna set this off to the side. And we're gonna do some basing. It's gonna take some time to dry, so we'll put these little... We'll come back to this. I've already got my computer fired up with some pictures of that destroyed French town. And when we come back to this, we're gonna put the base color here of the stucco part, so to speak. All right, so we've got these bases are the ones for the Shermans, and then these other ones are the ones for all the big cats. And we're gonna go ahead and do them all. And let's go ahead and put this stuff away because it's encroaching the area here. I think this is the first time I've actually used El Cheapo paints, the craft paint, since I've been here. All right. There's the jewelry, we don't need that. Just be something else to clean. We'll come back and do the edges as well, like putting a fresh coat there on the bottom of those edges. But we're going to use the triad of colors here. Iraqi sand. Well, if it's going to fall down. Good boy. Iraqi sand and U.S. field red. Somebody already gave me a thumbs up. Well, thumbs up to you too, man. Appreciate it. Like I said, it's a miracle somebody actually watches this other than me. I appreciate it. That's literally the best thing you could do. Strap yourself in and come in for the ride. All right. We're going to do field drab first. And a cough that keeps on giving is still in force. And you're probably going to hear all kinds of background noise because I don't live alone. And the other players of the household are quite active right now. But I had an opportunity to do this, so let's do it. There's one. This is black stuff on here. These are colors that I just decided to pick from that are on the Flames of War site. The Flames of War site showed different combinations of three colors, a base color and then two dry brushes over them already. So it literally showed you what it looked like and what colors they use. So it's nice to go ahead and do that. And you already see what it looks like finished. Because what ends up happening is you end up picking up, you might pick the last two coats that are right, but if you start with the wrong color, you may not get to the look you're looking for. And I didn't want to do a whole bunch of stands and thinking I was getting A and I got Q. So It's really the bottom coat that's the surprise. When I did the desert, the color they recommended to use, there was many different versions of the desert one, but one of the colors they recommended using is a color called English Uniform, which is a hell of a lot lighter than I would have thought. And it has a lot of, it's almost has some rustiness look to it. And it's not what I would have picked, but it ended up achieving the result that I wanted to do. And I was only able to do that because they had shown what it looked like on their website. So I don't play Flames of War, but they have a good website that has a lot of useful stuff for non-Flames of War people. Just like I don't play Rapid Fire, but those Rapid Fire books are pretty cool. The base color is the one that takes the most time. These other two are pretty quick. Okay, so that's all the little ones. That's all the Shermans. Little ones. Well, they're smaller than these. These are all big cats. Panthers and king tigers, and I think that's it. Panthers and king tigers. It must be something else, because I didn't think I only have 2 king tigers. I'm not sure how many panthers I haven't put on bases. Maybe 4. Let's make sure that the right chat is on here. How do I do that? How do I do that? Nope. Nope. That's not how you do that either. There it is, down here. Live chat. Okay. That doesn't edit any comments out. That does not let the YouTube bots decide what people do or don't want to see. I've had stuff that's been edited out and it was totally, harmless stuff. It's not even controversial. I just got edited out. That's Big Brother Google for you. Yeah, she's awesome. She has to take the codeine, I don't know. All right. No, they packed the socket with a antiseptic numbing. And so we caught it right at the beginning luckily. He said it hadn't gotten really bad. So when we called him last night, he said, they gave us his cell phone. And then we'll switch to Iraqi-san and do the same thing, and then we'll move back to the buildings. Yeah, it happens pretty frequently. She did all the right things. She followed all the rules. Now, normally, what you want to do is, after this material dries, you want to do the next step probably within a week. I've had these big cat ones sitting about 3 weeks, so they're going to be hard as hell to get this stuff off of. Because I want to peel some of the stuff back so I can epoxy them directly on here. And that's a heck of a lot faster than gluing the tank on first and then trying to get the goop in all the little places. That is just a colossal waste of time. So this isn't ideal, but it's more ideal than the other method for me. Yeah, your mileage may vary. You might decide to be like, I'm going to do it my way. Well, you can. I'm not here to convert anybody. You can do it however you want to. You know, just like I'm sure that people think I'm crazy for priming with black, but damn it, that's my calling card. I prime in black. Always. That's my calling card. Three more. It looks like everybody left. Well, came in here and gave me some thumbs up and left. Appreciate it. It is kind of early anyways. Except for the UK folks, it's always late whenever I connect. Yeah, it's almost Wednesday there, if it isn't already. Okay, and this isn't a precise science or anything like that. So just a little bit of a rinse is good enough. And then we'll go and drop some Iraqi sand on top of that. And then we'll let them dry. That's it. And I have no doubt that this is exactly what I want it to look like, because I've only done this process, I don't know, over 100 times. So I got this down pretty consistent. And there's probably a craft paint equivalent I could be using in these two colors, but at this point, I'm so far along with using these colors that I don't want to reinvent the wheel for just a little bit of savings and paint usage. And really, of all the paint brands, Vallejo is like the best one for dry brushing because it's already really thick, which is perfect. Big cats on the prowl. I thought I had enough paint on here. Looks like I'm gonna have to squeeze on a little bit out. Maybe the last couple ones. One more. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and take all these guys and take them next door to the other table. It's probably safe to set them on top of each other. This stuff's not very wet at all. Okay. That's everybody accounted for. All right, I need to go to the garage and I need to get some of my hand sanitizer that I bought because this one's about out. So I'll be just right back in a jiffy and we will pick that bad boy back up. Be right back. So I don't think I need the big one, which we'll probably end up cutting down. All right, so let's take this off and put these on. So the name of this town that we talked about yesterday is Oradour-sur-Glane. I believe that's how it's said. And it's a city in the middle of France that reprisals were done on it. And there's a lot of color pictures of it with destroyed buildings. And I think that there should be ample examples of some stucco. Okay. Yeah, I want kind of a creamy type color. All right. So now it's got too much pink in it. Might not be too bad. Let's try this desert sand. And just for good measure, this is raw umber. What's this other dark color? Let's see what we got here. Raw umber. Okay, what about this one? Is it raw umber as well? Yeah, it is. Okay, perfect. This is what we're going to do with. It's not much red in this. A lot of browns have a lot of red in them. I don't really want to go in that direction. All right, now let's get a paintbrush that we're going to need this, a little bit of water. A paintbrush we won't have to babysit a whole lot. Let's get rid of these, put the super readers on. Yeah, everybody's quiet today. I guess you guys are getting the feed, or I would have had somebody, hey, I can't hear you. Yeah, okay. All right, we're going to go over stuff in this color. And we still have some brick showing down here at the bottom, so I'm going to leave some room to come back and do that. I thought I had covered all that, but not focused on the inside, just focused kind of on the outside. And for those of you guys that didn't tune in yesterday, this is an old Hovels model that I have had. Really calling this a model isn't, assumes there's something to build on it, and there's nothing to build on this thing. It's all one piece. I had this thing every bit of 30 years. And it's high time to do something with this. We're just using cheap ass brushes with cheap ass paint. And we're going to leave this area down here for the brickwork. There's some brickwork showing. And remember, this is a half-ass burnt type building, so the fact that this looks a lot, can look dark in places, is actually a good thing. Let's mix some of this, more of this stuff up. And we're going to go over this 4 to 7 times with different levels on it. So that's why I don't have a problem with covering it, priming in black, because it'll cover okay. So I'm going to put 5 or 6, 7 different coats on it. Anyways. When we're done with this color, we'll come in here and do that little bit of brickwork. I said we're not interested in the inside right this moment. Now this is going to get lined up quite a bit, but we want the brown, sandy kind of overtone. Mainly so it'll pop from this, from the stonework on the corners. Door frame's totally gone. And these guys are they're still in business. Hovels is still in business. This is actually called Two Blitz Houses, is what the name of this product is. All right, I'm going to take a little break, about 5 minutes, and I'll be right back. Okay, where were we? Of all of the paint that I use, the one that behaves the best with water, the one that thins the best with water is the craft paint. We're just going to go over, just kind of doing a dry brush kind of wash. And then when we're done with this, we're probably going to go over it with the same color. So the same color that we dusted with this, which was probably like this guy right here, this sandstone. Probably lightly go over everything to just tie everything together. But lightly. We still want this to be somewhat colorful. So it'll give you an interest of something to look at. Like, this was painted some kind of color before. And we're going to add some lighteners to this where this isn't going to be as camel colored. All right, let's work on a big wall over here. And this is super forgiving. Super forgiving. You're just kind of winging it. Because I'm kind of open-minded about it. I don't have this necessarily as particular look that this has to look like. I just want this color to be different enough from this stone enough that it didn't look like I painted this with only two colors. Right? Sometimes you just got to add other stuff in here so it doesn't look like, oh, the guy's got two colors and he painted everything in two colors, Man, the dishwasher's loud. All right, now what we're going to do is before we go any further, we're going to take this little brickwork that I said that we needed to take care of. Let's go ahead and take care of it now. If you forget to clean your brushes properly, you could just take your hand sanitizer, it takes all that stuff right off. You could wait months and it'll still work. What you can't fix is damage to the bristles. So when you end up going over a surface that's abrasive, you're going to end up damaging your brushes. There's just nothing you can do about it. So just use cheap ass brushes so you don't lose, you know, you don't you don't lose life, you know, you don't lose life off yourself. God, I know what I'm trying to say and I can't say it. Not create heartburn for yourself. Okay, that one's done there. Now, I think we lightened it up with this. Did we miss anything else? That pop a little bit more. And we'll go a little bit more. Okay, good. We can rinse that. Now let's keep this brush handy because this is a good size. It's a number 1. And the number doesn't really mean anything, but this one happens to be a number 1. Hey, the Hoffman, how's the building coming along? Well, you can see it right here. I got big plans to get more buildings, but I'm not going to allow myself to do it until I finish this. Because that's what really discourages me. When I have too many things to work on, I don't do well with that. I have trouble concentrating, so. So we got to finish this, and I got to see that I'm going to be comfortable with creating a bottom floor, because there is no bottom floor on here. But what I envision doing something is, obviously we don't want to use cardboard, but something like this, and just put it on a base that simulates, you know, a little bit of sidewalk or something like that, about that thick, about 3 mil, 2 mil thick, something like that, and you know, mark it off, spray paint the whole thing. Don't really need to put anything on the floors on the inside as far as like rubble and stuff, but I mean, I could. That's removable. And yeah, I mean, this thing sits pretty flat, which honestly, I'm surprised. Sometimes these things don't sit flat and there's like a curve in them or something, but this thing's pretty darn flat. And just make it so it's removable. You know, so then you could pick it up and there's a floor plan of this room, you know. So that's at least what I envision. And some people prefer this than having the split thing like it's different levels. I prefer it split. I don't mind if it's got a little line going through there, but this is how this one came. It might have been so long ago that they didn't make them any other way. You know, now it's pretty much the norm to have everything like split level. All right, let's go over this and bring it up a little bit more. But this is really enjoyable because you just kind of just putzing along, you know. I've got no time frame to get this thing done by, other than I need to get this done before I get more. I found a source that has these pretty inexpensive. And they're cheaper than the 3D printed ones. And if I'm going to use this building that's destroyed, might as well have other ones that are destroyed. I mean, it'd be like why have one building that's all destroyed? Like, hey, just ruin those people over there didn't pay their taxes. They're a bunch of assholes. We told them to turn the music down. Bah, you know. Did people blast the music in the 1940s? Only if it was bagpipes. I decided not to watch the rest of Godzilla last night. Maybe I'll do that tonight. Maybe I won't. But I thought you were one of the ones that actually liked the movie. So, and I'm kind of glad my daughter's not watching it with me. She asked me how it was, and I said, we'll watch some of the special effects part later. Need you order your liquid cement so I can put your ship together. You got your ship in? Well, it's your friend Amazon. They used to have, Hobby Lobby used to have other things. See, this is coming out nicely. It's a little beat up, like the box, or yeah. Hopefully the kid isn't beat up. It's gonna be nothing until it's for a Godzilla diorama, right? I don't know what the name of the ship is, but I bet it ends in Maru. Some of those merchant names for the Japanese ships are crazy. It'll be something that looks like totally inappropriate Japanese, and they'll throw Maru at the end of it, right? Like Berlin Maru. Like, there ain't a Berlin anywhere near that hemisphere. You know? When I was doing 1/2400 scale ships, I had the names of the ships that were on the base. And I don't know if I'd want a whole fleet of Maru, Maru, Maru. I'm like, you're watching some stuff on the Siege of Berlin, crazy brutal stuff. The thing about the Siege of Berlin is, by the time you get to that time period, let's see, can I use this straight? Let's see if we can use this straight. You got the experience of most of the German units is actually worse than the Russians. The Russians, by the time, have survived enough that they got some more experienced units than the freaking Germans. And I'm not just talking um, old men and children that are fighting. I'm talking about the Volksgrenadier divisions and even legitimate Panzer divisions. The experience level on some of those troops, just the replacements, they've lost so many folks that they knew what the hell they were doing, and they got to count on other ones that are new to the task. Kind of the same thing that happened with the Air Force. Same thing happened with the Luftwaffe. Luftwaffe took so many casualties that now it's not as bad as the Japanese, where they actually got shot down in droves, and the ones that didn't get shot down wanted to crash and do kamikaze stuff. At least the Germans weren't in kamikaze mode. But still, there's enough Soviet stuff. But the Soviets took so many freaking casualties. And like they made like 50,000 or something like that, T-34s. And by the end of the war, they knocked out 40,000 of them. So like 4 out of 5 T-34s that were built were knocked out. Like that's insane. That's crazy. Well, you know, they still have 10,000 of them, which is a lot. There's a book I came across when I was a couple of years ago when I traveled up to the northeast. Oh yeah, look at this. See, we've got some depth here. We've got some fresh kind of paint on here, and we've got some. See, we've created some extra depths. Depths, yeah. And that's what takes things to the next level. You can't just be like, I'll put paint. What doesn't like not look that good? Because you need to like, give it some. Treat it like it's a face. You can't just throw one color on there and expect it for it to work. Add like different levels. I mean, I really like doing this. And this is really forgivable. If I screw something up, I'll just paint over it black and come back to where I am. But I was saying is I was up in Connecticut and there was a book that was kind of like it was called something along the lines of World War II in charts. And I think at that point I still wasn't in my World War II mode. I was still doing the DBA shit. So I probably wouldn't have picked it up, but I probably would have picked it up now. So it's all these series of pie charts in full color that you could look at a chart and a chart is worth a million words, and just stuff like that, how things that you don't normally look at, and it's easy to explain and different. Man, this looks really freaking good. Wow. Craft paint for the win. The craft paint means I'm less likely to squirt a bunch of it here and be worried that I wasted a lot of paint, because this stuff is literally like almost free. Now, with the whole COVID debacle, it was impossible to find because people were doing people that have never been crafty their entire life were doing crafty shit. So I went to the store. I couldn't find any craft paint because everybody had bought it all. I'm like, look, I should get first dibs, man. You guys are just going to buy a bunch of paint, not do anything with it, As soon as you're able to see people face to face, you're going to give up on this hobby. Get out of my way. Give me my paint, damn it. Hot damn. Now we're going to do this stonework in similar colors to this to tie all that together. And we don't want it super yellow. We don't want it to look like, Italy, or Spain or something like that, or Mexico. We want it to have some color so it doesn't look like, fucking Russia. The land of drab. You might move to New England next year. It looks like a really nice part of the country. If you can handle the accents. During COVID is when I started painting and wargaming my own figures. Okay. I hate that C word. When I got this cough, I went to go try to get into the doctor, and they're like, "Oh, well, we can't. They wouldn't return my calls, and well, we can't see you until you come, until you have a negative COVID test." I'm like, "So you don't want anybody that has any kind of flu to go into the doctor ever again?" I see where this is going. You bunch of sissies. Yeah, I think COVID has permanently damaged the human race. COVID and the excuses that come with it. And there's no doubt that some people took it really bad, but man, you got to move on. You can't just like hide in your hole and be like, I'm just going to be a hermit the rest of my life. He's still this doctor is my general practitioner. So fuck them. I'll fire them too. I already had to fire one doctor. So I just ended up going to what we like to call a doc in the box, emergency room, which, your insurance company doesn't want you to use, but, hey, I got to get some antibiotics or something. And they were so disappointed when they found out that it wasn't COVID. Yeah, it's another one of the flus that we've always had. You wanted to be a hermit before COVID. Doc in the box. Yeah, that's what my wife calls it. It's a good name, And I had an appointment. It took them forever to see me. But you know what? When they saw me, the nurse practitioner, it wasn't a doctor, it was a nurse practitioner, which honestly, I think they've got just as much experience as a doctor. I actually prefer them. And the nurse were super nice, We do not have a Jack in the Box in Florida. No. Or an In-N-Out. Isn't Jack in the Box one of those like murder scene places? We have a Steak and Shake. I guess that's a national chain. We have a Steak and Shake where they lock people up in the freezer, like around 1990, and shot some people. Went to go rob a Steak and Shake and stuff. No, we got to go smaller than this. Jack in the Box is pretty gross. Yeah. Everything's being bought by corporations that don't give a fuck about the business. I didn't used to be anti-corporation, but I just see it. You just can't let things go. Oh, we're just doing it for the money. Well, then go do something that freaking makes money. Don't get involved in the service industry and run the fucking place into the ground. I got a friend of mine who's on. He used to come into the hobby store all the time. He's handicapped. He's wheelchair bound. Okay, it's that kind of. That's not really what I think of when I think of someone that's handicapped. He's wheelchair bound, and he's been his whole life. And he recently wrote a scathing review of Firehouse subs because they changed their ordering system to basically like an iPad. And I noticed that the other day when I went there with my brother, and I'm like, you can't really talk to anybody. I mean, you can, but it's no good to talk to somebody. You got to order through the iPad, which I don't have a problem doing it or reaching it, but apparently he did. And he basically wrote a scathing review, like, I'm not going to go to them again, and because they don't care about the handicapped people. I can see his point, But that's every place is that way now. Nobody gives a shit about anything. But you want to charge more money. They want you to put a tip every time you check out, even though it's not a tipping place, right? You go in there and you pay with your card, and how much tip would you like to put? It's not a tipping place, They want to guilt you into doing it. Yeah, I really like Firehouse subs too. And, it's a shame that you had that bad experience. I probably wouldn't go there either if I had that kind of experience. I didn't. There's other places I won't go to they just suck. Subway sucks. It used to be, I didn't think it was worth a damn. And I don't eat at those places very often, but sometimes you find yourself, you have to because of the conditions or whatever. You can't bring a meal with you. But Subway I didn't like until they started toasting their stuff, and it was actually decent. But every time I go in there, I got to fight with the sandwich artist. Insult to artists. About, put more than one piece of onion, put more than one slice of tomato. It's like, holy crap, man. And I'm like, I don't want to fight and argue with people when I leave work because I got to do too much of that shit anyways. I don't want to relive work problems on my own time. So, Yeah, I'm not going there again. It's happened too many times that too many people walking around, man. They're like doped up on shit. Like they don't give a crap. They're just like dopey and shit. We need, if you're gonna be all dopey making a sandwich, man, do cocaine so we can get the sandwich done quick, man. Let's go. There's this one dude at your local Wendy's we call drive-through Senpai. The guy just hates being there, and it's hilarious. We have a local Facebook page for well, we have one for our neighborhood. We had one in the old neighborhood as well, but we have one for the two little towns that we have, kind of these two sister towns that we live in. And one of them says, don't go to the Burger King because the manager there, whose name is so and so, takes your card and buys other people food with it. I'm like, that's a pretty serious accusation. That's a pretty serious accusation. But I don't go to that Burger King. There's one in there that was the most worthless woman I've ever seen in my life. Just didn't give a shit. Just like your senpai. Drive through senpai. Used to work there as a kid, 60, 18 years old. We have New Jersey Mike's and Jimmy John's, which is better. Burger Kings are trash. I don't like, I didn't really care for Jersey Mike's or Jimmy John's because they don't toast the bread. And I'm like, I can do that at home. We went to Jimmy John's, the wife and I, we were just grabbed a quick bite. Sometimes when you're not super hungry, you're willing to take risks. Like, we'll give this thing another shot because I'm not really hungry. But if you're like really hungry, you don't want to fail a meal. You know what I mean? And we gave him a shot and it was actually okay. The Jimmy John's was actually okay. I don't like Jersey Mike's when I don't know if a place is any good, the first thing you try it is like an Italian type sub, right? If you fuck up an Italian type sub, it's the place is no good. So like before I ever went to Firehouse Subs, my brother was telling me, "Oh, they make a really good Italian." And it's so good, I won't get anything else. I refuse to risk not having that. But I don't eat there very often. But I think the atmosphere is really uncomfortable. Not like dangerous, but just like it's not cozy. It's the opposite of cozy. It's like clinical and sticky, but it still tastes good. For toasting, you really like Quiznos. Yeah, they were really small though. Yeah, they were okay. I guess they all went out of business. Yeah, I was like, what? People need to eat healthier. You know how you get people to eat healthier? Ban drive-through windows. Because a lot of things that I end up eating that are unhealthy, it's because I'm too lazy to go inside. So if you make me go inside, I'll choose better options. I don't know if that makes any sense. Of course, I pretty much come home for lunch every day, so that's not really the case. But it's the drive-through window that's the issue. You know, I have a limited amount of space and my limited amount of time in my lunch, and I don't want to get down and deal with folks. You know, I can listen to my book on tape or whatever while I'm waiting for them to take their sweet ass time. Yeah, but lots of places that were halfway decent aren't decent anymore. Like we won't go to Outback. We're not even talking about stuff that was worth a damn in the '90s and isn't good anymore. Um, Olive Garden in the early, and I'm only saying chains because they're all over the United States. Um, Olive Garden, Fridays, those two places just they died around 1996. You know, 1996, maybe 1997. Because now you got places like every place is expensive, and some places suck. So why go to an expensive place that sucks? You know. So when we go out to eat, we pretty much go to independent places now because like they give a shit. You know, they hire better people. Sometimes it's the owners that are serving you, and they give a shit. Not some punk ass kid that wants to do nothing but surf on their phone and you're an inconvenience, or worse. Post-COVID restaurants have really changed. Anything that was mid is now trash and expensive. Yep, mid, huh? You're speaking that new language. My daughter will say things and I'm like, what that? What is this? What is this nonsensicalness? We need to bring that up one more level where we're going to use the pure color. But we'll get there. Let's work our way around. Man, I got this cough that just... That's what happened to me 3 or 4 years ago. I had a cough that just wouldn't go away. At least my chest isn't hurting. On day 2, it was really bad. Like I got punched in the chest every time I cough. Punched in the sternum. Okay, that's about where we need that to be. So let's come in here with this pure color. Yeah. COVID pretty much gave everybody an excuse to be shitty at their job, not get fired, and you just had to fucking deal with it. And I got a problem with that because things are more expensive. You know, it's kind of like my problem with the Games Workshop paint. You know, they got more expensive, the container got smaller, and they reformulated their stuff and it's trash now. I'm like, no, nope, I'm going to find something else to do. And this line that's up here, we're going to do the same color. Fuck, that looks good, man. I got to quit my day job. No, I got to move to Britain where my health care is taken care of. I don't have to pay anything additional for it. Can't do that in the U.S. Okay. Yeah, the COVID excuse. No, don't let people get away with them. Last time we went to the game store, I saw a lot of paints I'd never seen before. Scale color. Yeah, I'd never seen scale color before. That's good. Competition's good. We need more of that, not less of it. You know, it's stuff like this where I'm like positive about how this is going to turn out. And then it just kind of puts around and it turns out better than I could have imagined. Like that's some empowering stuff, man. That's what keeps me like in the hobby, you know? And honestly, for me is I just have to sometimes not be so analytical about it and just jump in and paint my way out. If I ever run into problems, it's because I'm like, you know, analysis paralysis. And I really got no reason to do that. I got enough experience doing this kind of stuff that even if something turns out how I'm not happy with it, I've got enough skill that I can fix it. I know how to fix it, especially with all the problems I got to fix at work. This is like a piece of cake. And this is some empowering shit. You know, you feel good when you're done with it. But my whole goal, I'm not going to say my mission statement. God, I hate that. My whole goal is to have some games that look like these motherfuckers. These people in Britain that either play games that look like that or it looks like maybe they just set them up for shots, but that's what I want. That's what I want it to look like. You know? Other people are playing cool looking games with shitty ass rules. Why can't I play them? Look at this. That's some salivating stuff. Makes you want to learn about history. You know? So, one step at a time, we'll get there. And then, I'll show you guys how freaking easy it is. You just have to put some TLC in it. Not be like, I gotta get this done tonight. That doesn't work. Okay? It's gonna be like, this will take however long it takes. It's not in a ridiculous amount of time. And then when you're done with it, you don't have to paint it again. It's done. And you add other little sets. So I'm going to take this little lintel line all the way across, including these this detailing, and we're going to do it the same color that we did these little lintels here. And we'll start on the small one first. Yeah, it looks freaking great, man. All with craft paint. Would the other paint work better than the craft paint? Yeah, but I'd be worried about how much I'm wasting here. Whenever I know I'm hesitating too much, I just force myself into the problem and work my way out of it. Yep. You can do it with enough experience. Yeah, you want a badass table for Three Kingdoms war game. The only thing that sucks about the period is mirror armies, pretty much. The only thing that sucks about the period is the movies and video games. Nobody makes troops that look as cool as those guys do. I don't know that anybody makes armies for that period where the infantry have helmets. I'm not talking about really, really fancy. I'm just talking about nobody makes figures that I know of that period where whether they use, scale segmented type helmets. But, if you're talking about historical stuff, I generally would consider anybody who has the coolest looking helmets, that's the guys that I like. Almost all Asian periods of almost every time period are always bareheaded. Everybody's got top knots. When I was going to build a Three Kingdoms army, I think I was probably going to do Cao Cao's army, and they would be shades of shades of blue. They would have some blue stuff in them because that's in the Dynasty Warriors. They're the blue guys. But Lurko and then Khorasan is a Three Kingdom Korean army that you need to steal from if doing a later army. Yeah, the Khorasan figures are, I think by the nature that they're using multiple sculptors, they're all over the place. They look like they're all over the place. Some of them look really good. Some of the horses are really long horses, like stretch horses. Like they almost look like greyhounds. So you just got to be careful who you get. The figures that Mitch has for the let me think who he has. Look really good. They're the figures that are for the Jurchen. Those look really good. Those are really good looking figures. And some of those guys have really look real badass. It's not that everybody's got to look badass, but you're going to have hordes that are going to look like peasants. You can't have everybody looking like a damn peasant. You'd have to have like, uniforms like, okay, we're going to raise an army and we're going to equip them with something. Well, people that, pick rice for a living can't be afford, they can't afford to buy armor. Armor is expensive. Horses are expensive. So it needs to be provided by the warlord. So, they got to give them some kind of armor, scale leather, something like that. Lurkio makes Three Kingdom, and I'm talking about Chinese Three Kingdom, not. Oh, yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. They make those in Han together. Yeah, they look okay. I haven't seen them in person, but they look okay. Yeah, they're the ones that make that commander that looks like Jean Fei, right? It's got a big old Jean Fei. I think that's who it is. Jean Fei the drunk. At least that's what his persona was in the video games. Never was a fan of him. Probably too many of their commanders. Guan Yu? He doesn't look like Guan Yu. I think that's what I'm thinking of. I'm talking about the third guy. Not Liu Bei, not Guan Yu, the other guy. The guy that was the drunk. It's Zhang Fei, isn't it? I never played him. Lurkio miniatures. I could be wrong. I thought he looked like Zhang Fei. General. No, you're right. He looks more like Guan Yu. Guan Yu with a shorter beard. Yeah, that figure looks really cool. That figure looks really cool. Yeah. You need to give him a really long ass beard. Oh, need the super ones. It's funny, all those video games really were made by the Japanese. Like, I know they got the whole Samurai Warriors, but I would have thought they would have done more. They're like, they're obsessed with the whole Three Kingdoms. It's not even Japanese. We're going to paint this also. Yeah, I never played Zhang Fei or Guan Yu. My first time playing it through, I ended up playing what's his name? The guy that ends up saving Liu Bei's baby. Zhao Yun? I don't know why I just decided to play him. But then I discovered the dragon guy. He looks freaking badass. That's my favorite guy. But whatever, what's his name? Ma Chao. Yeah, Ma Chao looks freaking awesome. But he's over in the boondocks, over on the northwest part of the map. You got to go find his ass. Yeah, Zaho Yun. That's who I played first. Yep. Ma Chao's the dragon guy. Yeah, Ma Chao looks freaking awesome. Ma Chao looks awesome. He's my favorite looking one. Be going 3 Kingdoms when the new game comes out. What new game is it coming out with? And the freaking music is great. I love that rock kind of stuff anyways. And it's like no singing, perfect. You don't have some vocalist ruining it. Runs 3 Kingdoms strategy game, actually remake of the 8th installment. Okay. My first exposure to it was around 1991, 1992. Something like that. I had a friend of mine who I'd go over to his house and he had the original Nintendo. I was never a fan of the Nintendo, of any Nintendo system, and I'm still not. But he had the original one, you know, the little controller with the wire, and he had a Romance of the 3 Kingdoms game where you could move your little counters around and set your combat options were really, really limited in that. And we played a fair amount of that. But that's where I found out, who's this Cow guy? I didn't know anything about these people. So you paint a lot of tanks. You have a lot of World War II infantry already painted. I have probably about 60 figures. And they all look good. They look as good as the stuff that I do now. The basing is just prehistoric looking. So I've got to redo the basing. Because I want them all to look like, they all have names on them and stuff. But I want them to look, you know, basing that's modern. You know, I just haven't gone back and done that. But I've got a lot more figures to paint. I got a lot more figures to paint that I really like the figures of, and they're out of production. So, but you know, I've done figures for 18 years and nothing but figures. So, right now we're going to build the stuff for this scenario. This scenario involves the vehicles. I already have all the vehicles for it. And it's actually a scenario from this rule set. So it should work better with the rules, you would think. And here it is. It's the Battle of Longevet. I got to remember I'm not all the way up there. So there's a church. There's some rubble things here, which will substitute some of this stuff for it. You know, I could substitute another building for the church. If I don't want to spend $100 on a freaking church right now, you know, and a bunch of trees. So we've got the vehicles that go in here. There's a barn here. That little thing work as a barn? No. Anyways, I might have to get a barn or whatever. But this is what my goal is to make this look really good. So, you know, this can work as one of these rubble buildings that are here in this corner. So, but this is an 8-foot by 8-foot table, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, 6 by 8. Yeah, so once I get everything, I'll go get the foldable tables, you know. And then we'll work our way out from that. And if something in the rules doesn't play right, freaking wing it, you know? Well, it is a big table, but the game is an actual scale. So that means that, you know, everything is in scale to each other. Because some people will play something like, it'll be like this. Like grenades will only go like 2 inches away. Well, then this room isn't this big. It's really this big, right? But this is all on actual scale. So it really should give infantry a bigger chance of doing stuff. If you're talking about a Panzerfaust, so even 8 feet is only 200 meters across. So you got an 8 foot by 8 foot table. It's only a snapshot of a battlefield. It's 200 meters by 200 meters. That's pretty close. Tanks really don't need to be in that kind of a box that close to infantry. It happens, but that's really what it is. It's a movie moment type of thing. I always get annoyed by these games that they'll have a figure that's 28 millimeter and it shoots only 2 feet away, and the grenade only goes 3 inches away. And I'm like, well, you can't ever stack the figures close enough then, because even when the figures are touching, they're still like 10 meters away from each other. So you're seeing but it's really something else is going on. So I'm a very literal gamer. A DBA is the exception. I mean, I'm a what you see is what you get. And that's what I want to motivate me to paint stuff. If I'm going to play some abstracted type of game, I'm like, I'm not really interested in that. We've been doing that for almost 2 decades. I don't want to do it again. So it just plays like nothing else you've ever seen before. Almost like a role-playing game with miniatures. But no LARPing. Because that's just, that's ridiculous. But almost like a role-playing game that, you're only running like a tank or two. Well, this scenario has 4 British tanks, so really don't need to have more than 2 players for the British. And I'll probably run one side. So I think that's what I plan on doing is I'm probably going to solo it until I get the hang of it pretty well. And then I'm going to when we have people, everybody will be on one side. It just keeps things flowing a lot easier. Okay, we can't forget this one. So sitting over here on the side. Not worried about the inside at this point. Okay, and we did that. Let's go ahead and take this color. Let's add more of the core color to it. Add a little bit of water. It works really well to mix this on the cardboard. First of all, the cardboard's free. Second of all, it takes some of the water out of it. So yeah, the game is all about actions. Most figures will have 2 actions each turn that don't go back to back. You actually don't know what order they're going to come in. I mean, if you have 10 figures on one side, you could have, Private Johnson that gets the first action, and the last action, he could also get it. Or he could get 2 in a row, So what infantry I have? I have Russians, Germans, and Americans painted. I've got 10 partisans, which is enough for a scenario. And I've got 4 Brits painted. But, I've got probably a platoon's worth of all of those. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on the stuff that I have and just start adding elements like, all right, let's paint up a sniper for a sniper scenario, But all the figures that I have are figures that I want to paint. So I don't know when I'm going to go back to 15s anytime soon. I suspect that it's going to be for at least a decade. I just don't see doing it anytime soon. I just want to present a narrative. It's kind of like a movie. What I want the movie to be about. I want the movie to be about this. I don't want it to be about some strategic thing. I want it to be about a tactical puzzle. So yeah, all this shit's got to look really good, to have a different type of look. And it just takes time. And the only way I can do it is I've got to focus on this and not try to do 15 millimeter stuff that at the same time that's like I got to get these guys done for this show, and I don't have time for that. Ever since COVID, my workload at work has gotten significantly more demanding. I just don't want to do anything that's even remotely like work when I'm not at work. Yeah, there's another set of rules that's not bad either, and it's called Normandy Firefight or Firefight Normandy. And that one's even more like you need to run like only one or two guys. But the dangerous percentile, that's my jam right there. But the problem with Firefight Normandy is it has no vehicles. And I don't necessarily need a game that is all about vehicles. But if you don't have vehicles, then you don't have any combined arms at all. That's like saying, "Oh, I want to play DBA, but I don't want to use skirmishers." Well, you're not getting all of the food groups that way. So there's no rules for vehicles in Normandy Firefight at all. So you'd have to create your own. I'm like, okay, well, it's good, and I played it a couple times, but I don't know that it's better because the meat and potatoes of this rule set is your actions, what order they come in, and how you manage your leadership. Because your junior leaders have extra chits that you're pulling one chit at a time. There's different ways to play, but I prefer pulling one chit at a time. That person does an action, and the actions are really easy to understand. Throw a grenade, unjam a weapon, fire a weapon, move. These kind of things. Things that are easy to understand. Climb a ladder. Things that are easy to explain, that are very concrete. But the junior leaders, or really all the leaders, assistant squad leaders and squad leaders, have other chits along with their own chit that they can use to modify people that are under their care instead of themselves. So in other words, let's say I've got an assistant squad leader for a German squad. And if his chit comes out, which looks different, it still has his name. Anybody that's under him within a certain radius and visibility, he can activate instead of them. So you can get more than just two actions a turn. For instance, you put a junior leader and you put him next to an MG34. Okay, so if something goes wrong with the MG34, it jams, you can activate the guy to unjam it so that when his turn comes up, he can actually fire it. Or maybe it didn't jam, have him fire it a second time. So how you manage that stuff, and it sounds complicated, but it's not. It's just, it moves slow, but none of it is complicated because it all makes sense. There's zero abstraction to it. So it's just something totally different. It's very similar to the rules I was coming up on my own, and I just saw this. It was completely done. How many infantry figures and vehicles make up a side? I don't think you need to run more than 5. But like the partisan scenario, I'd give everybody like 3 guys. Because you're moving like the most. If you're running at full bore, you can move about that far. Now the vehicles are really interesting because the way the vehicles work is they each have a little sheet, and it's not complicated, but you can, you have your tells you who's in the vehicle inside and what their skills are, and it's nothing crazy skills like charisma or something like that. Just basically you have morale and basically your abilities. That's the 2 things you have. You have your morale and basically how good you are at doing everything else. And when the vehicles come up, there's a speed you can set them to. And probably my only gripe that I have about the game is the speed is not dealt with in real miles per hour or anything. So like, for instance, you might have like a Panther, it has maximum speed of 8. Okay, that means every time its movement impulse comes, there's 10 movement impulses for the vehicles. So you pull a shit out, oh, it's movement impulse one for the vehicles. All right, move all the vehicles on one side. And you move at basically the speed that your vehicle's going at. And there's limited things you can do, like turning and things like that. You could change your speed up or down. You can brake and stuff, but you're kind of limited. So if you get going too fast, when the impulse comes up, you might actually overshoot something you don't want to. You can't make a turn and stuff like that. So you're not going to be going these crazy ass speeds. But there's no the shining thing about the game is there's no opportunity fire. There's no okay, stop, move everybody back. All right, I'm going to shoot at them when they're here, kind of thing. That is, I don't, that is the most bogging thing in a game, period. In any game that has opportunity fire, it's hokey because you already know immediately where they were going, and like you have to stop them. You already knew where they were going, and you have to go back and assemble guys in that way. So once I found out that there was no opportunity fire, I'm like, oh yeah, that speeds up things tremendously. But it's just a totally different beast of anything else that I've seen, other than Firefight Normandy, which has no vehicles in it. But I did a little sniper hunt with that with playing Firefight Normandy, and I ran the Jerry's. They had 3 figures, and there was 2 U.S. players that had, I think they had 4 figures each, so it was like 8-3 or something like that. And they needed to go hunt the sniper down, and it was on a 2 foot by 2 foot table, so it was really close and personal. When you're talking about a skirmish game, going into hand-to-hand combat is exciting stuff. It's kind of like when you're playing a naval game and you ram somebody. You shouldn't be doing that, but man, when it happens, that is really the exciting part of the game. But that's the meat of and the potatoes of the game. So when you talk about the scenario that's only 4 turns long, that means every figure is going to get to act 8 times. The loader's going to act 8 times. The gunner's going to act 8 times. That's it. So it's just a tiny little snippet of super intense fighting, and it's just the narrative that it draws. It's probably not most people's cup of tea, but I can tell you, I have played lots of 1 to 5 scale systems before, operational level games, and that's just not a super interest. That's a narrative that's almost the same every time. So, want a little bit something more different kind of storytelling. And the rule set's only Europe. Yeah, there's no rules for Japanese in it. That doesn't mean I can't come up with my own, but we're not going to start with that. 20 millimeter. Yeah, it could be anything. It could be 15, it could be 28s, but the author even has 20 millimeter on there. They're Canadian rules. The author is Canadian. right, that's looking pretty good. Let's move it along to this side. This cough is driving me freaking bananas. I know I had one for like, I swear, 3 months several years ago. I'm gonna go get something to drink here. Just a moment, folks. Okay. Fuck, this looks good. And it's near mindless. And most importantly, in that, it's really forgiving. Like if you're like, oh, let me put a little bit more color to this, just freaking add a little bit more color to it. If you know. As I always say, this hobby is super inexpensive. Just buy what you use and use what you buy. Don't go buying a bunch of shit like I did with this 30 years ago and just now getting around to doing something with it. And believe it or not, this actually has very little flash. This is actually pretty well designed where there's not a whole lot of flash on it. Now, some of the other ones I have, the ones from Queen's Hussars, seems like it's nothing but flash. It's got a ton of it on there. And we're gonna scrape that stuff off. We're not gonna grind and get all that shit airborne. That's not my idea of a good time. Put on a mask and have to freaking wear it for like freaking 6 hours doing a cleanup. That's not my idea of a good time. Man, it's loud. That's the dishwasher telling me it's ready. Like, who cares if it's ready? Let's sit there. I've got half a mind. I probably won't do it, but I got half a mind to actually airbrush the inside walls. But I probably won't do it just because I got so much more control. Slow and steady wins the race. So I'd rather go slow and steady and not have to fix anything. This will get done eventually if I work on it every day and don't start something else in the process. For you guys that are interested, that you didn't catch it, I mentioned it. This is a Blit. I believe this is called Blitz Houses by Hovels. Hovels, way back when, was a household name of all kinds of buildings. There's a lot more options now than there used to be. But they're still making these. And we're probably going to bring it up one more level with like a little bit of white. We got to be really careful with the white because it'll end up making everything really chalky. But you just want to add these little tones so it adds some interest to it. Like it makes it worth looking at. Yeah, looking really good, man. Looking really, really good. So one of the things that I read about is craft paint is cheaper than Vallejo or anything like that. Okay, and one of the reasons why it's cheaper is it has a high percentage of filler to pigment. It's got more filler than it does pigment, and the filler is actually makes the colors really flat, not shiny. So the advantage that has when you're doing something like this is sometimes you can't really tell how good something is looking because when it's shiny, your eye gets distracted. So this, with not being as shiny as some other stuff, it's actually easy to see. It's easier to see how you're doing along the way, and not be like, you're done. You're you can't really tell how good something's looking until you go and seal it, which is what happens when I'm doing vehicles. Sometimes I'll be like, I guess this is good enough, and then you go and you seal it, and you're like, damn, it looks good. Well, because the sealing is such an important aspect of that, to make it get everything together. So using the craft paint, actually, you can see the results of how it's looking like as you're going a lot more than if I was using more expensive paints. Just because it's a lot of filler. So they're a lot flatter. Now, the coverage is also kind of crappy, but as you can tell, I'm going back over this multiple times. You can make there's little bullet holes in a lot of this stuff. And, using the same color and dry brushing it a little bit. You can get all these little subtle little tones. We haven't even done any washing on it yet. And I don't know that I'm going to. Certainly not going to wash the whole damn thing. Now, let's grab some white on here. Many, many of them. What's this? Apple Barrel. Folk Art seems to be a little bit better than Apple Barrel. A little thicker. That's not open. This'll work. I'm going to use this very sparingly. And I'm going to use the same brush here. This brush is about right. I'm going to use some of this core color with a white. I'm not going to go full on white. And we're just going to touch up. Highlight a couple different places here. Am I making it seem easy? It is. You just got to put some devotion into it. All right, let me step away from this thing so I can see what I'm looking at, is like I like to say. Be right back. Okay. So for the most part, I don't know where the hell this interior floor is. I mean, it's here somewhere. I went and primed enough stuff. We got all kinds of stuff to work on. We got a little bunker here. We got a little Atlantic wall style bunker. Has some nice detail on here. This Vallejo primer worked really well. It was a lot easier than hand painting this. And it turned out a lot flatter too. Which, like I said, the thing about it being flat is your eye doesn't get distracted by all this stuff. Now, got two things you can do. You can either do the floor now, and then do the walls, then the floor. Because the floor is at the angle that it's at, it's a lot easier, I think, to do the floor second. I think. So I'm going to go ahead and do the walls. Because I still got energy in me. Some of you guys are watching me, or Chinese bots or something like that. I don't know who the hell's watching me, but might even be a nerd burglar or two watching. Anyhow. Yes. That looks really, really good. Really good considering what the actual model looks like. The model's pretty rustic looking, So we're going to paint the inside. We're going to add another color in. You don't want to seem like you painted this and you only had two colors in your repertoire. I'm going to use this color here. This is granite gray. It's got a little bit of a blue in it. Nerd burglar alert. That's right. Auga. Good evening, Rick. And we're going to do the same thing with this stuff. Get some black, mix it up, bring this up. I don't think this is going to look too much like duck egg blue. I hope not. That's not what we want to go for. Looks a little bit like the underside of a Spitfire, which is a great color, but not really what I'm going for. Now, I'm going to think outside the box a little bit. I'm going to use a dark brown. Okay? I'm going to use that instead of black. Because there's black on the walls already. that some of it's going to show through because this stuff is super thin. Let's go bigger in a brush so we can be done this decade. And let's go ahead and add some hand sanitizer to this and get this shit out of here so we can get these bristles moving correctly. And let's neutralize it with some water. All right, we've got dark brown. We've got this duck egg blue. What do they call this? Granite gray? Well, you can call the color whatever the hell you want. And let's see what these two mixing together look like. Well, this granite gray is super powerful. All right, so we've got this kind of a taupe color. See, this is the problem with having paint on your stuff. At some point, it looks like I got some paint on there. Okay? So, gotta go fix that. That's why you gotta keep your hands clean. You don't want to transfer paint onto something else. And what is the other color we were using up this one right here? Those aren't the super readers. We need the super readers. There we go. Okay. All right, nothing else to fix? All right. Now, the hell was I? Got this taupe color. We're going to test it on the inside in here. Okay? And we're going to kind of dry brush it. So some of that black is going to be showing. And we're going to go over it several times. I don't mind if some of the black is still showing. There could have been a fire in here. It certainly looks like that could be the case. Suffered some kind of damage. How to abuse your brush, 101. Well, for starters, don't buy expensive brushes. Makes it easier to sleep at night. And a lot of this is not going to be probably noticeable. But you can't just leave it black, right? See, Rick, even you can paint terrain. You painted shit before. You're not a Mitch. What are you doing these days? Are you playing Skyrim while you're watching this? If I didn't paint and I want to be disturbed, I'd play World of Warships. I'd do World of Warships while I was listening to this. You can dry brush a gray wall like nobody's business. All you got to do is just realize it's not going to be, one coat's not going to get you there. You know? Ooh. I got a hidden message here. There's some writing in here. Is it backwards? Norpac 515. Something Brack. Interesting. A hidden message. We're not going to paint the roof. That would be absurd. Okay, but we've got this taupe-like color. Now, I'm going to keep it going. I actually like this color. Or I think I do. Or at least I can fix it in a way that I think I can fix it. So let's go ahead and do the interior of this. And after this is done, what we're going to do is we're going to do the floor. We're not going to finish the walls first. We're going to do the walls enough that they're there. And then we'll do the floor. And the floor will finish all the way up, and then we'll finish the walls. And I don't know that we can finish this tonight, but we could put a big enough hurting on this thing that there's actually a fireplace there, which I don't know. I don't know how I feel about. Actually, I do know exactly how I feel about having a fireplace when your floor is made of wood. That's just weird. That is just something bad is bound to happen. Get some more of this raw ass umber. See if we can make some kind of nasty ass ketchup sound. There we go. Snot rocket. What that sounded like. A ballistic snot rocket. And the fact that this doesn't cover really well is actually advantageous because this forces you to go back over and then you add little variations of color. Like that ballistic snot rocket? Yeah. That's what it looked like. That's what it sounded like. All right, so let's go over this some more. All with craft paint. Can be a lot less frugal with it. Oh, for some reason, this wall got all uppity and was missed. Okay. Now we have a bloody staircase over here, unfortunately. Let's mix more of this color here. The other two urban buildings that I have are like really urban, meaning big city. And they have all kinds of nooks and crannies, which are going to be very challenging to paint. And to be honest with you, I don't know that I have a whole lot of use for them, for those two buildings. They have a shitload of flash. Now, the only downside this thing has is that it doesn't have a floor. It's really the only downside that it has. But because it does not have a floor, I can paint it from like this from the inside. I can get underneath it and paint it. If it came attached with a floor, I wouldn't be able to do that. So the access points or a lot better. Yeah, this cough just won't quit. Oh, all right. So you can tell here the difference. I've only added, this has multiple colors on it, on this. And this one only has one. So as you build up and go over it, you end up adding a little bit and a little bit and a little bit more. It comes alive. Oh, yeah. Or as a Kool-Aid man would say, oh, yeah. I'm going to go ahead and paint these stairs, even if it's ever so slightly. Now, I'm going to need more of this granite gray. British World War II fighter underside gray. More like it. That's what it reminds me of. I was a little leery of this being damaged, but honestly, I kind of like that it's damaged. Got some variations of color without going crazy. Haven't even added a wash. I don't think it needs one. I really don't think it needs one. This is like the third shade that we're dry brushing on here. Like I said, you can't just dry brush at one time and expect to get results that you're going to be all that impressed with. don't know what this interior level is going to be, but yeah, it looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Oh, Okay. So where to next? Let's do the floor. And we're going to take that super dark brown that we have there. Might as well use craft paint for all this stuff. Was there more snot rockets in here? Let's see. See if we can. Oh, there might be more in here. We're not fooling with that right now. Let's just open up another one. Raw Umber from Americana Deco Art. I don't know whether I got this at Michael's or Hobby Lobby or Joann's. All right. Floors. You know what? I need to go find that other floor because we're going to need it because there's only this floor to do. There's not that much to do. I might as well do that other level. I'll be right back. Well, it is here somewhere because it's not in the garage. So I guess I just have to tear this area apart. There it is. Let me something. This little piece. And this little piece sits in here like this. Okay? So we're going to use an alligator clip for that. We could probably find somewhere that's relatively easy to clip that onto and paint around it. Okay? It looks like we're going to get this done tonight. And pretty fucking happy with it. Now, I'm going to do some washing where you've got like these hits. There's like a artillery or something to hit it there. Another one here. A couple spots in there. Okay. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. How the interior, it's not going to do it justice in here. It never does. Now I'm going to take this brush, but I want one that's a little smaller because this one's kind of a little. Well, you know what? let's just roll with it. Let's see if we get it all up in the walls. And if we do, then we know we use one that's too big. But if you use a brush that's too small, it's got to just take a decade to get this done. And I'm not necessarily in a hurry. But we are here to accomplish it. There's actually one that was in here. I think this is a little bit better size. Let's see what this looks like. Just straight brown on top of it. And we're going to go against the grain. So the grain's like this, so we're going to go against the grain. And just see what we're dealing with. Well, I don't need to go darker than this. And where did my readers go? The super readers. Oh, hanging from my shirt like an old man. Yeah, see, this color is significantly more watery than some of these other ones. So as we lighten this up, we're not going to use white because it's going to make it look really. We're not going to use white next because it's going to make it look very dusty. And we'll do that for the final color. On there, okay. Let's just kind of compare this. All right, and then you know what? It's easier if I have to redo this because this is a separate piece. Let's go ahead and finish this all the way through. Make sure that we're happy with it. Now, I don't want to add one of these colors that adds this like pink. I don't know if you can tell on here, but there is definitely some pink attributes to this. I don't want to add that to it. I said I wasn't going to use white, but I am going to do a little bit of a test. I'm going to put some white here and lighten this color with white. And let's see what you get. And the reason why is because some of these have these hidden colors in here that you wouldn't be expecting. Now, if I did something like sandstone, well, we got lots of sandstone in the other stuff. Let's not use sandstone. Desert sand. This is the one that has a little bit of pink to it. Now, that's the one that has a little bit of pink to it. Let's put a little bit of desert sand and mix it with this brown and see what we get. Okay, I think I like that better than with the white. It's a little warmer. Let's just see what we get here. Now it's already kind of looking kind of chalky. Territorial beige. Get off my porch. Get off my porch gray. Let's try this. Let's try this little. Let's do a little bit of warmer here. And we'll still add these other colors, but towards the end. Just a mid shade. I think this is better. Yep, yep, a little warmer. Now these little pieces that are sitting here, I think that's part of the roof tile, which there's no roof present. Just all got blown away. Yeah, yeah, that's where we need to be. Okay, so first of all, since we know that's where this is going to be, let's add this brown. Yeah, see, I got some on the wall there. I'm probably going to have to touch some of it up. But this color is really watery. This raw, was it raw umber? Yeah. That's the darkest raw umber I've ever seen. Usually raw umber is a little bit more, got more rust in it. I'm not getting up on the walls very much. It's a pretty easy fix. Kind of weird to have a fireplace and then a hardwood floor right next to it. Nothing good can come from that. All right, now let's go ahead and add this this color here. Now I'm going to go down one size and brush. Something like this. All right, and of course we need to take this old paint on here that keeps the bristles from moving. Okay, let's neutralize that in water. Okay, now we got some bristles that'll move. Not drastic enough. Okay, and after we're done with that, what happens when we add a white to it? It'll turn super pinky. Super pinky. No, it's not too bad. Now, we got a little bit of overspray on the wall. Very little, really, really very little. So let's go ahead and take care of that. And we did that with this and this color. Let's take this off before it hits the ground. And now we really don't want to get this on the floor. And that covers it up nicely. So, what do we have left? Well, we have these little roof tiles. Let me see if I can get an idea what some of the roof tiles, I think they're like a slate blue type color. Let's see what I did on my other building up here. Yeah, it definitely has like a little bit of a blue tinge. Man, this thing is heavy. Okay. So I think what actually something I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give this a little bit of a wash. Okay, add some depth into this wood, and are these the super readers? They're not. All right, let's put the super readers on. And let's use something that's not tiny, but something that's not huge either. Let's move this off to the side. And we're just going to put some Nuln oil on here. Just to add some depth to this. I need to go a little thinner than this. This is too big a brush. I don't know that it's making that much of a difference. Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. It is. Yeah, it is. It's kind of subtle, but I feel like it does add some depth to it. Let's see if we put Nolan oil inside this chimney. That improved it. Yep. And I'm going to even do one better than that. I'm going to drop a line here at the foot of this. This stuff's really, really useful. Just adds a little bit of little bit of contrast there. Yeah, much better, much better. All right, we said we were going to put some of this stuff on the outside. Let's go ahead and do that now. I'm going to drop some of this in between the division of these two. This has been fun as shit to do this. Like I said, I've had this thing like 30 years. I waited until my skill set is a lot further along than it used to be. Now, only thing we need to do is we need to do the tiles on the roof, which are littered about all this. So that's pure black. Okay, that's not the color we're looking for. Add more blue. This might actually be one of the colors. Yeah, let's get the black out here. Whoa! That's a watery ass color. Okay, and might have actually been English Navy. It was English Navy. Now, let's rinse this shit off our hands before we create more work for ourselves. I'm going to start with this. That's what we're expecting. Like a shit slurry. just the base color of these. Now, I don't know that I'm going to add any more blue to it. I'm going to add some parts of the roof tile here. Yeah, that's good. Grayish with a little bit of blue tint to it. And let's add a little bit more white. All right, I'm going to do the same thing over on this side, which of course means we need to fix this up. A little bit more black than that. This part's kind of a pain in the butt to do. But you only have to do it one time. All right, now I'm going to add a little bit of white to this. Nearly done here. Well, that's where we're going to leave it at right now. Pretty happy with how that turned out. Put all this stuff away so it's not standing room only. A couple of partisans up here. And yeah, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. So we're going to seal it tomorrow, and then we'll start working our way into the next building. So, yeah, that looks pretty good. And I think this weekend I'm gonna create a base for it to sit on, because it just being open ended on the bottom just is kind of silly. You need something in there to be able to fight around that type of situation. But anyways, thanks for stopping by, folks, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye bye.